Okay. Oh fucking K. I think I did it. You can see me now, right? You can hear me now, right? This is working now. Holy shit. I am so stupid. Right? We're good? Please tell me yes. Please tell me yes, because if not, I'm gonna fucking... I don't know what to do. I'm gonna have to... Okay, thank God. Okay. I'm gonna record this just in case I don't... Okay. Thank God. Alright, let's get rid of these lo-fi beats. Okay? Let's get rid of these lo-fi beats. Okay. Alright. Welcome to the gun show. So, I have been screaming a lot into the void. I have been screaming into my other channel. I've been going downtown. It's just, this is all that's on my mind. And I am just seeing, there is like an active disinformation campaign going on. It's making me fucking crazy, which is why I'm here, which is why I'm doing this, which is why I've already lost 5 subs just from clicking the button that says schedule stream, and the stream title is let me talk about defund the police. I've already died. All that shit's already like costing me, but it's worth it for my own sanity. So we need to elevate the conversation, just like everything else, just like with motorcycles, just like with all the videos I've done with ATGAT and lane splitting. We got to elevate the conversation, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to elevate the conversation, because right now there are a lot of people out there like this fucking guy, Officer401, who has 600,000 subscribers, that are just spreading misinformation or totally misrepresenting facts, data, all of that. And I've been having a lot of these conversations privately with friends, with family members, and I'm realizing how it's very easy to have to get a odd or a incomplete picture. So I don't really blame people. Oh, what's up with the audio? Can people hear me? How's this sound? Hold on, let me double check. It says I'm like in the yellow for voice. Do you hear me via the audio? I'm checking. I'm like I hear myself through my thing. Patrick, I think it's you, man. I think it's you, because it's loud as shit coming through mine. So let me first just clarify, because I'm getting a lot of people coming to my channel too and looking at the stuff I post up, and to be blatantly honest, I'm gonna have something else up. I'm gonna talk about the autonomous zone, which I'm not gonna talk about here, but that is another thing that is just, there is just weaponized fucking nuclear weapons grade misinformation out there, and it's everywhere. It's not just the weird OANs and the Breitbarts, it's the fucking literal like CNN mainstream media sources. Like, all of it is just fucking garbage. So let me just first clarify that I am not an anarchist. I am not a socialist. Forgive my dog. I am neither of these things. I believe in socializing programs such as healthcare, and I believe that we can probably reduce government in a variety of ways. But I do not identify as a socialist or anarchist, as many people will tell you as soon as you start to. I gotta front load that, because that is the first thing people are gonna say to you when you talk about defunding the police. That you are a radical Antifa super soldier, or a warlord, as I now would like to, I personally identify as a warlord. All right. So with that said, let us take this, should we defund the police? This man is a cop. He is a cop from Georgia. He says this. This is not doxing. This is information he puts publicly on his channel. He mentions in his videos. I don't know if he's ever mentioned the specific department. I've never given a shit to look. But some things to think about walking through here is that this guy is an active duty police officer, which means that his sergeant and his captain and all of those people know what he's doing. I find it very believable that it is in fact a coordinated effort. I almost see this as a marketing a marketing wing for a variety of police and law enforcement. So with that perspective said, this is not just an individual. Like, if he were to say, fuck the police on his shit, if he were to say, we do a bunch of sketchy shit, let me tell you a story about a time I fucking planted drugs on somebody, or let me tell you about a time I fudged the report, this guy would have fucking legal problems. This guy would have real fucking problems. So let's start from there and just understand that this man has a lot of incentives to position his department and what he does for a living in a good light. That's all I'm gonna say. All right. So this is a 4-minute video. I'm sure it has lots of detail and lots of facts and lots of hard information. He's gonna give us some data, I'm sure, that proves all of his points, that counters all the arguments to the other side. Let's start it.
It's certainly a hot topic right now. People are wanting to defund or even disband police departments. But what kind of an effect would that have on us as a nation?
Reasonable question. We should ask that question. Nothing wrong with that. Love it.
Hey guys, what's going on? I hope you're having a fantastic day so far. After the recent death of George Floyd, people are trying to push for the Minneapolis Police Department to be defunded. People are wanting a majority of those funds to go back into the community or services for the community.
So just to clarify, they are going to do this process. They are starting this process. Minneapolis has already voted in a veto-proof majority, 9-12. Their city council has voted to disband or dissolve their police department. So it is not a matter of will they, it is they will. How do we make that happen? The mayor cannot veto that.
This could lead to things like more affordable housing for minority communities. There are also more radical type thoughts going around that we should disband every police department across the United States, as that would solve police brutality. Their argument is that
Hold on, if you dissolve every police department, you would in fact you would stop police brutality. That is just a thing that would happen. There wouldn't be any more.
Their argument is that instead of sending an armed stranger to a situation, send somebody that has an expertise in that particular field. So basically you have a mental health call for somebody with a shotgun. Don't send the police, send a therapist. Or it's like,
What? So he says, okay, this is the first tactic that cops and people are going to use, is a dishonest framing. They are going to, of course, this is not new, but they're going to build up this scarecrow of, imagine this insane scenario where somebody has a shotgun, is an active shooter, has already killed 5 people. Let's send disarmed people to that situation. Nobody does this. Nobody is describing this. Nobody is advocating for this. What people are advocating for is something like what is happening up north in Seattle. In 2018, the Arlington-Marysville area, which is just north of Seattle, it's about 20 miles north of Seattle, started deploying police officers connected with social workers to interact with the homeless. People who are homeless are largely having some sort of mental health crisis problem, probably something long-standing. People who are homeless are not just normal people down on their luck. They're not, if you're watching this, if you understand what I'm saying, if you pay attention to this stuff, like you have the cognitive ability to do that, you're probably not homeless. You're not homeless for that reason. People who are homeless, who are living on the fringes, need help. They don't need armed cops. They don't need to be sent to prison, and because there's no function there. This is what people are talking about. Now, this is obviously ingrained in the police department. So what people are actually talking about is, as part of defunding, is removing those funds from the police and then creating, a more specialized department, probably with, again, you don't necessarily even need an armed officer. Nobody is suggesting that in a armed standoff type situation, in something where there are bank robbers, where there are people with fucking grenade launchers, when Al-Qaeda comes to town, because that's going to happen again, because this is, it happened one time, so it's probably just around the corner, right? Nobody advocates for this. So I don't think that's the first time he's going to dishonestly frame this stuff. But that is everywhere. That is in every aspect of these arguments, is just these scarecrow scenarios that are this vast minority of a police officer or a cop's job. Most of the time, they're giving fucking tickets. Most of the time, they're writing fucking paperwork. Most of the time, they're hassling people they're sitting in their car. Like, this is the vast majority of their life. Most officers will not have a fucking armed confrontation. Many officers will never need to draw their weapon for any reason, like like to point it at somebody, not like literally draw it. I'm sure they draw it all the fucking time, but will never have the need to actually like point down somebody who's an armed threat to them.
Psychiatrist. There's also people trying to push for send a therapist or psychiatrist. So basically you have a mental health call for somebody with a shotgun. Don't send the police, send a therapist or psychiatrist. There's also people trying to push for more rehabilitation programs.
Yes.
So apparently when a 6-year-old is calling because her father is beating her mother senseless, we're supposed to let the suspect know that we have resources for him. Another top...
I'm so triggered. I'm just constantly triggered. So let's talk about this scenario that he just provided. So we should have more rehabilitative sources. So in America, we have, what is it, a quarter of people fucking locked up? How many million people do we have locked up? More than any other country in the world, right? That's the funny part. Land of the free with the most people fucking incarcerated. For the person who has a domestic abuse assault, does putting them in jail, does taking them through the justice system as it exists today solve their problems? Fuck no, it doesn't. Often, people with domestic abuse problems, which actually, now that I'm thinking about it, is a lot of cops, because cops are one of the biggest people who have such a high incidence of domestic abuse. But if we take those people out of the situation, we lock them up, often they're, these are often one salary households, so potentially you've got the other person that no longer has, that needs support of some fashion. So is the state going to do that? No. I mean, sometimes it does. Maybe they have family to fall back on if they're lucky. But then the other person, let's say we put them in jail, for example. We take them into court. They got all the hearings and stuff, and they got to do they got to go have trial. Like, they could lose their job just in that, even if they are not found convicted, just because they might not have the flexibility to just be gone from their job suddenly. They might have an employer that's very strict, that maybe they're working somewhere that there's a lot of other people who need that job, and so they can just be terminated like that. Maybe they're working at a contract job. There are so many aspects of what he is describing where we send the police in that does not improve or enhance the situation, even in situations where there is violence, like domestic abuse. Once again, he's giving us a dishonest framing of what is most often people are going to be needing to be rehabilitated. When you get a fucking parking ticket or something, and you can't afford that parking ticket, so then we fucking impound your car, and then you can't afford that too, and then you can't get to fucking work, and you lose your fucking job. This is just a cascading spiral that hurts the people that are the most vulnerable. Policing does not improve any of these situations. So when people are describing this, they do not give a fuck about the people. They don't give a fuck about the people. That's not what it's about for them. They give a fuck about punishment, about retribution, because that is how they see the justice system. That is what it is there for. Eye for an eye. Put these people behind bars. Put bad people behind bars. No, we can't do this. Not if we want society to get better. Not if we want to reduce the number of people incarcerated. Not if we want to reduce the recidivism rate. We cannot just lock people up. We cannot inject them into this system. Doesn't fucking work. Sorry, I'm going to try to acknowledge the comments as we go. Okay. Yep. Sorry. Just checking, making sure I cross my I's, cross my T's. I go into a fugue state as I'm angry, and I want to make sure I get all my good points out.
Topic of discussion that people have been bringing up is the fact that officers should be held criminally liable for violating their department's policy. And I can tell you right now that every cop in America would quit in a single day if that were to become true. Hence why...
Good! Wow. That's all we gotta do, and the problem fucking solves itself. We just have to introduce accountability, and then they'll quit. So, I have never put I've never heard the problem with policing put as concise as this. If officers are scared that they're going to be held criminally accountable, because remember what he said, he didn't say for making a mistake, they said going against their policy. So if cops are afraid that if they go against their policy, if they go fucking rogue, if they beat the shit out of people, if they kill people, if they misuse force, that they could be held criminally liable, that some people are gonna fucking quit or all of them are gonna quit, I don't know what to say. That is a massive problem. Then you have a series of cops that are so afraid that they are incapable of following their processes and procedures. Why do we trust any of these people at all? What's the point of having a fucking policy manual? What's the point of having all these rules written down if they cannot be held accountable to any of it? I'm also noticing he's not describing any alternatives. He's not saying that, hey, well, we have this other system that'll fix it. This is just a video that just says we can't do that. That's what we can't do.
If that were to become true, hence why it's not going to happen. But what would happen if we actually got rid of all officers? Who would answer calls for domestic violence, kidnapping, rape, murder, and so forth? To get to the point here, defunding the police is...
So what would happen if cops disappeared? This is a very reasonable question. Very reasonable question. Totally. I get anybody being afraid of this. I get that a lot of people are culturally trained that cops are a requirement. The point of defunding the police is to reform it. Defund is to refund the community. That is the reason. It's because we've got all these different line items for a city. We've got transport, we've got public services, we've got administration, we've got, all their buildings and shit that they own. There's a million things that your city does for you. The social programs that are a part of it. Many cities have like their own forms of healthcare, for example, or states that have their own form of healthcare. All these government programs. So we're looking at a thing, which is the police department, which has been getting more and more funding every year, especially since 9/11. We've just been jamming more and more money into our police departments. While simultaneously, as a nation, crime is lowering. But we're giving more money to the police. So we're saying, let's extract that and put that into other services that can prevent crime, that can improve people's outcomes, that aren't jailing people, that aren't harassing people, that aren't enforcing laws that are fucking racist, like drug laws, or just bullshit like drug laws or prostitution, like all this vice crime that are about, interactions between mutual interactions between two people. What a fucking waste of time. That is all a waste of time, and we can save that money. That is largely the argument. Now, when you defund the police, that doesn't mean that you need to not have a police department. I am constantly shocked, because this is very public if you Google it, but this is not the first time defunding has come up. Camden, New Jersey defunded their police department, dissolved it in entirety in 2012. They had they're a city of 75,000 people, and they had an insane crime rate per capita. They had lots of violent crime. Shit was not fucking working. There was evidence from the DOJ that there were a bunch of shit they looked at. A bunch of cases were being thrown out because there was evidence that police were corrupt and they were planning evidence and they were abusing their powers. So what did they do? They couldn't fix it because the police unions do not allow it. They will do whatever they can to protect the police. There is no code, there is no thing that a police officer can do for police unions that could make them toxic at this point. That is the union that is just completely fucking broken. So they dissolved the police department, which dissolves the police guild, which gets rid of the blocker for reforms. Then they rebuilt it. It's not that it disappeared and just totally went away. It's that they built a new thing. And in fact, they actually ended up hiring more officers. They actually doubled their officer size, which was one of the mistakes they kind of rolled back because this was an experiment. This was kind of a new thing. They didn't have a playbook to work with. They were kind of just going off of it. But what was the result of Camden, New Jersey, dissolving their entire police force and then rebuilding something that had a more community-minded outcome? Let's see. 2010, 37 murders, 47 murders. 2012, which was the year they decided they were going to fucking defund it. What are we at now? A third of that. What are we at for rape? Sorry, hold on. I should probably increase this. Burglary, robbery, theft, We've got a little bit more theft, holy shit. But total crime is down significantly. So data shows that this is not a thing that creates an anarchist, lawless state. It doesn't have to. And I would also like to acknowledge that people saying defund the police, and again, there are people that will advocate that yes, we should just defund literally everything everywhere. I don't think that that's a great idea. I think that it needs to be a more targeted, a more specific situation, a more specific solution to each area. I think that most large cities like need their fucking police like completely dissolved, or at least scaled way the fuck back. But smaller communities might have less corruption. They might have it more under control. They might have less racism there. But again, a lot of the laws that they're enforcing are racist in nature, are totally bullshit in nature. So, but understand that just because Minneapolis or Seattle, if you really like your police department, all I want you to do is put your feelers out in your community. Does everybody like them? Are there specific aspects of your community that really doesn't seem to like the police, that seems to have a lot of problems with the police? Is there certain areas like Chicago where there are significantly over-policed areas leading to racial disparities in crime and the dumb bullshit 1350 crime stats that morons misrepresent all the time? Probably. So you should be looking to find some solution if you're not going to defund the police. But if you're not going to find a solution, then defunding the police is another solution. And it doesn't seem to create lawlessness every single time. Next.
Is a bad idea in any way you look at it. Not everybody's going to agree with me, and that is the beauty of living in the United States, is we don't all have to agree with each other. But to me, it makes sense.
Okay. This guy doesn't put any data up here at any point, which I find just insanely frustrating. So he says, defunding the police is a bad idea. So I've already showed you where it can fucking work.
Taking away funding, you are taking away equipment and training for officers. If anything, I think agencies need more money, not less. Maybe we...
Again, this is the other talking point you're going to see fucking everywhere. Hey, moron, you want to get rid of their funding, but you're mad. The police aren't trained real good and don't do a good job. But how are you going to do a good job without more training money? Well, buckle up, kiddos. Because it turns the fuck out that police don't fucking use their money for training by choice. The city, if you've got a city police department, there's a police chief. The police chief is appointed by the mayor, so the mayor is accountable to, or the mayor is accountable to whatever the police chief does. But the police chief says, this is where our money's gonna go. This is how we're gonna use it. And they break it all out, right? The mayor doesn't tell them how to spend it. The mayor says, hey, I think you should do more training. And the chief can say, okay, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. So this is Samson Youngway. Samson Youngway is a data scientist, political activist. He is one of the co-creators of Campaign Zero. He is an insanely smart dude. And what I love about it is that every one of his opinions is backed by data, by information. He doesn't misrepresent stats. I've never seen him do that. He is very... he's going to give you usually an overload, a deluge of data, more than anything. He's not going to just pull up one stat and then, draw an entire fucking squiggly line of all the different places why that stat, answers all these other correlated questions, which is what most alt-right fucking morons do. Like the Sargon of Cods, like your fucking Stefan Molyneux's, like your Tim Pools, like these fucking idiots. This is real data, and again, let's just look at it. So he examined the Dallas Police Department's budget. So 60% of the city's general fund goes to public safety, which overwhelmingly goes to the police. So if we're looking here, public safety, 60% of the budget, which is $30 million. What do they cut? So like I said, you can look at this and you can say, okay, well, we could pull from the economic neighborhood vitality, mobility solutions, quality of life, but you're going to see that most of the stuff is already like governmental, like, community support programs. Man, that's a big ass chunk. In 2019-2020, the police department received $516 million. Almost all of that 516 went to personnel services, which is officer pay, benefits, overtime, pension, etc. So you can see this is the personnel services right here. Their total budget was $487 million. That means that 90% of their budget was just officer pay. That was 90% of the budget. You've got a couple of other $10 million for supplies, then some contractual services, $55 million. I don't know if is that training? So they spent $55 million on training? I don't know. They don't break that piece out, but I think he gets to it. Those benefits are structured by police union contract. Automatically increase officer pay and benefits over time. Just the adjustments to officer pay alone to the current contract is $36 million. The contract doesn't expire until 2022. So this is part of the reason that police need constantly more rejuvenated funding, is that the police unions are really good at arguing for officer pay. I know we've all heard that cops are underpaid. I know we've heard that, and maybe that's true in some specific scenarios, but holy shit, we are putting almost all of our money into paying them. Cutting pay, benefits, OT has to be a part of this, though in some places that could take time and contract renegotiations. Firing and laying off officers can work more quickly to cut the budget, but who to cut first? And then again, officers already on suicide watch. You're going to cut jobs? You know, if we made some of those changes and we lost some officers, they kind of help us with the layoffs. Most immediately, the defunding of the narcotics and vice divisions would cut about $20 million. This could also lead to a reduction in arrests for drugs and other low-level offenses. So here is your kind of sub-department breakout. So there are bullshit departments, again, like drug and vice crime, that can be cut to get us a lot of savings if they want to do more training. Side note, the city lists the number of narcotics arrests as a performance measure in its budget. In previous years, they planned to increase the drug arrests, though now they seem to be budgeting for smaller drug arrest quota. Drug arrests was the majority of policing. It just is. Most of the police, what they're doing is violent crime is like the vast minority of what these people are doing, which is not what they want you to think, which again is you wonder why they're constantly bringing up the arguments and the straw men of violent crime when all they fucking do is bust people for weed and coke and fucking meth and other bullshit. This is kind of a simpler way to look at it. This is the Seattle Police Department, and I just threw this out there as this very recent. This came out today. So Seattle Police Department spends over 60%, 306 of its $409 million on personnel. I don't know what this inter-fund charge bullshit is. That's money that goes to other departments, apparently, that are part of the city. They spent less than 1% on training. $3.7 million of their $409 million budget was spent on training. Less than 1%. If you need training money, it fucking exists. They don't use it for that. They are not interested in using it for that, regardless of... And this is today. This is fucking 2020. This isn't 2012 after fucking Ferguson. This isn't 2007 or whatever, whenever Seattle's consent decree came out and a judge told them they needed to reform. This is fucking today. That is a bullshit argument. If you want fucking training money, it exists. Use your fucking money for that. Get paid less. Take less overtime. There's options. I don't fucking want to hear that, man.
We should spend the extra dime getting these officers trained in mental health and being a better asset to their community. Police need accountability.
Okay.
I think we can...
I agree with you.
Police need accountability.
Yes, they do need accountability. Fuck. So, let's get them let's get police more training. Let's give them more things to do. Let's get them better at it. Let me tell you why that's dumb as fuck. Sorry.
It's certainly...
Actually, I'm not going to tell you because let me have the Dallas police chief tell you this. He said this in 2016. I believe this was in response to a shooting in the Dallas area of some police. But let me show you what the Dallas police officer said.
Just to be quite honest with them. because what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish here is above challenging. It is. We're asking cops to do too much in this country. We are. We're just asking us to do too much. Every societal failure, we put it off on the cops to solve. Not enough mental health funding. Let the cop handle it. Not enough drug addiction funding. Let's give it to the cops. Here in Dallas, we got a loose dog problem. Let's have the cops chase loose dogs. Schools fail. Give it to the cops. 70% of the African-American community is being raised by single women. Let's give it to the cops to solve that as well. That's too much to ask. Policing was never meant to solve all those problems. And I just ask for other parts of our democracy, along with the free press, to help us. And not put that burden all on law enforcement to resolve.
Fuck. Based as fuck opinion. Hell yeah. Dallas Chief of Police. I couldn't agree any fucking more. We do throw all this dumb shit to the cops. Oh, he specifically mentioned how 70% of African American families are living with just single women because of bullshit drug crimes, because of bullshit low-level shit. We are destroying families with this by giving it all to cops. You can't. It's a human thing. It's not. This is where it's like I scope out on the, like, I'm not ACAB. Like, we do ask them to do too much. We ask an inhuman amount from those who join our law enforcement communities, and we do not equip them. We cannot equip them with every scenario. The only choice is to specialize them, is to give them specific scenarios. Maybe there is a group, maybe there's a SWAT team that exists that is really, really good at the really military shit, but they don't fucking come out unless there's a goddamn active shooter. Maybe, and then we've got the people that deal with mental health crisis, we've got the people that deal with domestic abuse and family-related issues. We have to carve it up into specialized options. We cannot just continue to throw money at fucking cops because A, they don't fucking use it for what we need them to do, they just pay themselves more. And B, it's not how no human is gonna be this good. They're not gonna be able to handle it all.
Less officers is not gonna make racism. Computer systems. All of these things have to be trained in mental health and be a better asset to their community. Police need accountability. I think we can all agree on that. That means investing in things like training, counseling, monitoring, better body camera systems, better computer systems. All of these
body camera systems that they can turn off, computer systems that break, that don't store data, that we can't get access to because they put policies in place for us to not be able to access that information freely. All of his suggestions are at no point did any policy, he didn't talk about the judicial system, like holding people accountable at all. Hold on. Ever since 9/11, we have just been funding these people more, and we are just not getting what we expect out of them. Yeah, I mean, we're getting more accountability from the fact that everybody and their fucking mother has a cell phone with a video camera on it that can post shit live or recorded. That is what we are getting value out of. That is what is building accountability. Nothing of what he described can build accountability because, again, a lot of it is also on the officer itself to be an honest person. And as we've seen, we can't rely on that.
These things have to be paid for, and they are expensive. And the bottom line here is that a defunded police department with less training, less equipment, and less officers is not going to make racism go away. It's not going to solve the problem of how our officers are trained to deal with people with mental health issues. If anything, it could mean more cover-ups and less tools in place to hold those officers accountable.
No, it can't. It literally can't. If you cut the police force by 50% today and they had to fire half their fucking cops, you would have less cover-ups. If you have 800,000 officers, sorry, hold on, I'm getting to his next point.
Imagine a department of officers on the road with no body cameras, no in-car cameras, back to like the mid-80s. And before somebody gets on to me from my last statement, I'm not saying that if there's no cameras around, that officers are going to purposely be corrupt.
I mean,
personally
he is.
do my job the same, whether a camera's on me or not.
That's
I
cool.
don't care. But it does mean that the bad apples are going to thrive in that environment. Another thing to think.
So, if there are 800,000 cops in this nation, and we cut that by half, and there's only 400,000 cops, if 1% of them are bad, we went from 80,000 bad cops to 40,000 bad cops. That's going to be less corruption. That's going to be less civil rights violations, less people fucking getting killed for no reason. That is a reality for this. Yes, it will. They can, if they have less cops, they need less money to train. Maybe they'll be able to train those cops. If they use that same $3 million budget, but instead of having, I think SPD has 1,600 people, if they had 800 people, holy shit, maybe there's more training that can be done. Again, these people's minds, these cops' minds, and the people that they interact with a lot of the time, is like, their frame of mind is so limited of what is possible. You can't even like consider other aspects. I find it to be very irritating.
Think about is that people are actually pushing for private security in lieu of police officers. That in itself is a very dangerous idea. Do you really want a bunch of armed vigilantes running around your neighborhood? A bunch of deputized George Zimmermans? And some other examples, I'm sure.
That is a massive self-own. That is what we fucking have. We have a bunch of deputized George Zimmermans running around our fucking hoods, like doing what they want, being what they want, saying what they want. We fucking have that. We see it. We see it on the fucking streets right now. I don't know what world he lives in. I just don't know what world he lives in. Maybe he literally only is maybe he's only capable of seeing the hands in front of him, and like every other officer is just like blocked out of his mind. Like he doesn't see what any of them are doing. And when he looks at the TV, it's just a series of like blotches with random people getting shot with fucking beanbags and old people just falling down as this amorphous blob, and he's like bleeding on the ground. Like, I don't know if that's it, and he just has like a complete cop blinder installed as a fucking chip in his fucking head. But that's what we have. I'm also not afraid if we let's say we did defund the police and there was just literally no like armed police officers. Like, let's say it's like fucking Europe, because again, I'm getting people on my channel who are from other countries and they're like, holy fucking shit, it is crazy to see what's going on over in your guys' country. Our cops don't have any guns. Our cops have fucking like little sticks and they yell at you and they use their whistles and somehow they fucking survive. They haven't devolved into complete anarchy. But let's say that were to happen. And these gated fucking communities want to pay for their own private security. These old fucking people, these old, mostly white, mostly affluent, afraid people, go for it. Fucking go for it. I don't want to be anywhere near those people. I don't know anybody who lives in these fucking gated communities. That's fine. Create little castles on the fucking hill with a complete sub-community that is fucking, got snipers and shit. I don't care. Do that. Waste all your fucking money on that. Just leave us alone. Leave the people that have to deal with the bullshit laws, the bullshit drug laws, who can't afford things like bail, the poor people that are struggling, that are working, that have to use public transit, that have to deal with these fucking people. Leave us the fuck out of it.
Some of you could probably place. The fact is, most officers, every single day, go to work, they do their job, and they go home with no incident. It happens every day, but because of social media and the news and all these different entities showing the few bad apples, it comes across that we're all like that, and that's just not the case. You have over...
Just need a bad apples drinking game. Bad apples, bad apples, bad apples. And once again, the double standard exists. Protesters, looters, burning shit down. These aren't bad apples. This is the entire movement. Antifa, some people in black like punched a guy at a fucking protest. Some people throw a water bottle. Whole people, this isn't peaceful protest anymore. This is just rioters and looters. No bad apples in a fucking crowd of thousands of people, but in these departments of 80, of 300, of 400, just a few. And again, they spread the corruption everywhere. And he's completely disinterested in rooting these people out, in excising them from their community. They're just kind of an aspect of it. It's something that I feel like he's already given up on the idea that we can get rid of.
Over 800,000 police officers in the United States. When or if police departments are disbanded nationwide. The wealthy neighborhoods are going to hire the former officers as private armed security. Their homes and property are going to be safe, all while crime explodes in the areas that cannot afford protection that their taxes used to cover. Let that sink in. Disbanding or even
so this is it. This is it, right? What do they call that? Can you all say it with me? Thin blue line. That's what they call that. This is the real reason that they cannot even conceptualize a world where policing is reduced. Even reduced, they can't conceptualize it. These people literally believe that the only thing stopping the majority of the population from raping, from pillaging, from destroying their communities and just taking shit, reverting back to this like caveman mentality, is that there are punishment and consequences for breaking laws. That is what they believe. They do not think that you or me or most of the people in this fucking world are just normal people looking to survive, looking to have healthy relationships, looking to work a job, working to take care of our family, looking to have some free time, looking to not be harassed. This is not in their frame of mind. We are barbarians. We are terrorists in waiting. We are fucking miscreants. That is how they view this world, and they're the only ones protecting us. We don't understand. We don't understand how much they're just holding the fucking hordes back. That's the real reason that that our arguments against them, as we're explaining these things, they just fall on deaf ears because they dismiss all of them, even though he gave no data. He gave me no data. He never reached to a study. He didn't look at that Camden, because again, I showed you the only piece that I'm aware of that exists of a city defunding their police department. But he gave no data to prove that will happen. That is a given. That is their religion. Because if that one piece of information isn't correct, literally their entire framework in how they look at life falls apart. All the laws that they're putting people in prison for, that they're finding people, that they're ruining people's lives for, all those laws, if those don't need to exist for us to not fucking kill each other, what is your purpose anymore? And that's the shitty part, is that they don't have a purpose. They've been told for years and years and years, especially since 9/11, you guys are fucking heroes. You strap on that badge, you're a fucking hero just for strapping on that badge. They cannot conceptualize that actually what they're doing is they're terrorizing normal people for the most part. Normal people that just want to fucking get high sometimes. Normal people that just want to fucking drive unmolested, who want to drive a little faster on the fucking highway. You know, because hitting somebody in your car or hurting somebody or getting high and like breaking shit, these are illegal. It's illegal to break shit of other people, whether you're high or not. We don't need to amplify it. If you can't... Anyway. The thin blue line. That is it in his summary. I'm going to give it to you one more time.
100,000 police officers in the United States when or if police departments are disbanded nationwide. The wealthy neighborhoods are going to hire the former officers as private armed security. Their homes and property are going to be safe, all while crime explodes in the areas that cannot afford protection that their taxes used to cover. Let that sink in. Disbanding or even defunding the police is not beneficial to anybody here other than people that just don't like cops, and they aren't my concern. Anyway guys, that is it.
Citation fucking needed. Citation fucking needed. That is it. That's how it's dismissed. Only anarchists can ever think of a world without cops. We can't, like, neighborhoods can't come together to come up with solutions. Cops did not exist forever. They have not always existed. There has been a massive evolution, and we are at the most policed, we are at the most monitored, the most harassed that we have ever fucking been. Crime is not at its highest. Crime is at one of its lowest points in history, at least as far as, like, modern society. Okay. That's it for this video. Who's got questions? Who's got anything to talk about? Did I fucking miss anything? Of course, yep. And that's the us versus them mentality. If you think that cops should be abolished, you're not my concern. Even if you're my constituent. I mean, he doesn't say that, right? But it does kind of feel like he's saying, if you don't agree with me, if you don't see the world I do, And again, we're seeing it now with all these fucking cops bitching. We're seeing, like, now that they're being threatened actively, like there's an active movement that is in their fucking faces with thousands of people saying, hey, we don't actually want you here. They're lashing out. We had that fucking New York Union, New York cop speech. This was the whiniest shit I have ever fucking seen in my life.
Police officers across the United States on the...
And I just want to talk to you, the press, and I want to talk to the police. Overwhelmingly positive responses. But I read in the papers all week, we all read in the papers, that in the black community, mothers are worried about their children getting home from school without being killed by a cop. What world are we living in? That does.
The real world, asshole. First off, when I first looked at this guy must have been hiding behind this guy. I couldn't see a single black person in this group. There's the token right there, and this dude looks a little brown to me. I missed them. There was a different straight-on moment. But look at how many white old motherfuckers are in this fucking photo. Look at them. Does that represent New York City? Does that police department represent its constituency? I fucking doubt it. And that's part of the problem too. New York City is famous for stop and frisk. They put in the stop and frisk, a Terry stop, where they can literally just make you turn your fucking pockets out as you're walking down the street, creating additional conflict. And we know that shit is racist. We know that black people are more likely to be stopped, despite the fact that they're less likely to have contraband. This is how they see it. You know, that's a good question. I would be curious to see. I think England probably has one of the most humane police departments that I've seen, which is funny because that's actually where I think the initial community policing system. So I'm reading a book right now. It's called To Protect and Serve. It's written by fucking Seattle Chief of Police. I forgot. Norm Stamper. That's his name. So I'm currently reading this book. It's written by Norm Stamper. Norm Stamper was the Seattle Chief of Police. He was a police officer for 35 years. He was the Chief of Police during the Battle for Seattle, which were some literal riots that happened in 1999 based on some global political shit that was going on, where people came out and beat the fuck out of peaceful protest. This was like one of the first times that locally we had seen this type of shit. It was like LA riots fucking shit. It made Occupy look like a fucking tea party. He was the chief of police in this moment. And he fucking quit the force after this and said, holy shit, we are doing it wrong. Policing is literally broken. When your chief of police doesn't think he can fix the department, the structural problems in the department, yeah, sometimes you gotta throw that shit out. You gotta throw the baby out with the bathwater. Sir Robert Peel, Police Principles. So the first ever like modern police department was this dude called Sir Robert Peel. He's considered like the father of modern policing. 1829. These were his nine principles. These are the 9 principles that this is what police officers swore to do. To prevent crime and disorder as an alternative to their repression by military force and severity of legal punishment. To prevent crime as an alternative to repression by military force or the severity of the legal punishment. As in, don't throw them through the system and don't hurt them. To recognize always that the power of the police to fulfill their function and duties is dependent on public approval of their existence, actions, and behavior, and on their ability to secure and maintain public respect. This is completely lost. In that statement where he's saying if you just don't like cops, you're not the people I care about, this is what is lost, is that the cops do their function based on a community's need and desire for that function to exist. They are taken as a given, and that's the issue. That's why Defund the Police is so fucking terrifying to them. To recognize always that to secure and maintain the respect and approval of public means also securing of the willing cooperation of the public in the task of securing observance of the laws. If your public doesn't believe in your laws and doesn't believe in you, that's the concern that New York guy fucking totally dismisses, is that people don't want to have to interact with the cops because they're afraid. It's a community coordination. Police and the people that they are protecting should feel comfortable working together. They should feel like peers. Police have a specific function, but the community enables that function. To recognize always that to the extent to which the cooperation of public can be secured diminishes proportionately the necessity of the use of physical force and compulsion for achieving police objectives. To recognize that the public isn't going to cooperate the more that you fuck with us, the more that you hurt people, the more that you physically beat people, the less justified those actions are. To seek and preserve public favor, not by pandering to public opinion, but by constantly demonstrating an absolute impartial service to law, in complete independence of policy, and without regard to the justice or injustice of the substance of individual laws. By ready offering of individual service and friendship to all members of the public without regard to their wealth or social standing. By ready exercise of courtesy and friendly good humor. And by ready offering of individual sacrifice in protecting and preserving life. This is a big one. The first section says, regardless of what the law is, independence of policies, and without regard to justice, your goal is to give service. You think about all of it in its totality, not just blindly executing whatever the law, regardless of whether it is good or not, or whether, what harm it's bringing to people. You can read the last of them. This is what police officers, this is what organizations should be being built off of. This is what community policing is. This is the difference that you can create. You can build it up from. And that is the problem that Norm Stamper saw, and that is the problem that he describes in his book, is that law enforcement as it exists in the United States has absolutely never, it paid lip service to these principles, but it never existed, and it never ingrained those principles into them. And so they must be destroyed in order to be rebuilt on top of these principles. And that's what the Camden, New Jersey Police Department did, to great success. It's not perfect. You can go read stories about it, but to great success. Yeah, that's a good idea. Good call. All right, does anybody have anything else? Any other questions? I've been going at it for an hour, which is about what I expected. God, my hair looks horrible. My hair looks fucking horrible. Also put that in the comments. Look, if you enjoyed this conversation, you should like this stream. You should share it with people. I am struggling right now because all this shit is happening in my backyard. I just had the President of the United States fucking threaten, and he does dumb shit all the time, so don't get me wrong, I don't think the fucking military is gonna come here, but he pointed his fucking Sauron-like eyeball at my fucking city and said, there is anarchists and Antifa, and he's just fucking lying. I was down at the Autonomous Zone yesterday. It's like a goddamn block party. It is actually disappointing in how unremarkable it is in a lot of ways, and how not part of the city it is, because it absolutely is. It's also just a fucking plus sign. They say 6 blocks. It's a literal plus sign where there are like blocks here, and they're there because 2 people have tried to fucking run people down in that area. That's why they're there, fuckheads. And there's no charging. I got handed food for free there. I got handed a name tag. It's people are just having a good fucking time because they're out of work because goddamn COVID's here. Some of them are out of work, but I mean, it honestly picks up in the evenings. It's a place where people are going. Capitol Hill was already a fucking nightlife area. People are just kind of going there and hanging out and having a good time. No different than if they were just there for the fucking bars. Like, I can't express to you how not unique it really is. But that doesn't change the fact that there is this massive disinformation campaign. So that is why it is hard for me to just put it on my side channel. That is why it is hard for me to just not talk about it, even though this channel is nominally about motorcycles. It's really, I think of it as about education and understanding and critically thinking about things. That's how I think it as. I also think about it as my little fucking playground where I kind of just fuck around all the time on anyway. I've done dumb shit on this channel. I put a guacamole recipe at the end of a 7-minute video about fucking wobble. Why did I do that? Like the guacamole recipe was like the same length as the fucking video because I don't know. I just thought it was funny, and I wanted to do it. And this is kind of the same thing. So I am glad for everybody who's able to enjoy the motorcycle content and enjoy hard discussions about police misconduct. If anybody does anybody have an argument that was not put here about the defunding the police? Does anybody have an argument that they're familiar with, that they think is really good, that wasn't acknowledged here and that I didn't acknowledge, that they think, I want to do the crash analysis. So the Do It With Dan guy, he does it better. It actually kind of disappoints me. He does like a live stream, and I thought about this, and I don't know. You guys can tell me if you guys want. Do It With Dan. Look, if you guys want, and I'm like sending you to a fucking competitor now. Or no, sorry, it's not this guy. It's Dan the Fireman. So this guy basically stole my shtick, and he does it better than me, probably. So look, he's doing one fucking right now.
You can't participate in the chat. See the side of the vehicle a little bit too late. Now,
See,
why do
he's
we
doing
see the side of
it.
the
He's
vehicle
doing
a
it
little bit
fucking
too late?
live.
Because we're
He doesn't have the
possibly going a little
graphics. He
too
doesn't
fast
have
for
the other
area.
contextual things. But he's literally doing my shtick. So if you want to see a lot of that stuff, I don't know. Tell me, maybe I should do this. I don't know. I don't know if I would be good at that. But I like doing the more prepared shit. But look, maybe I'll have to balance out this live streaming shit I'm doing complaining about cops. Maybe that's what I'll do. But I need more sources. Okay, nobody gave me an argument in the chat for for any type of aspect of this defund the police that this guy put in any arguments against it. So I'm going to assume that everybody here is on the same page, that we don't necessarily. And again, my argument is defunding the police is something we should look into very seriously. We should probably advocate for it. At minimum, we should advocate for finding ways to reduce police spending and injecting that money into the community. You can raise taxes if you want and inject the money in the community that way. But as long as policing exists and racist laws exist that are bullshit, vice laws exist, you're gonna have racial inequality. You're gonna have people getting fucked with by cops. You're gonna have people getting killed by cops totally unnecessarily over dumb shit like being high or being being in mental crisis, or by fucking having a fake $20 bill or whatever. People are gonna die from that shit until we get rid of until we pull cops out of this, until we reduce the number of bullshit laws. That's just reality. You gotta stop. You gotta reduce police interactions, and you can do it a million different ways. You can defund them. You can remove the laws. You can change policy, but. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you feel like I'm being truthful. And that's honestly, that's why I'm here doing this stream. That is why I am talking about this on my main channel. That is why I am this is why I'm shedding subscribers, because there's a fraction of the people that watch my content. There's a fraction of them that, I would consider myself I'm very libertarian. That's where I'm at. I'm like a left libertarian, right? But I'm pretty open to anything that has a good argument. I like to think that I am. But I feel it's very important for me because I have trust with some of you, because some of you have seen what I do, and I think for the most part you guys believe that I am not trying to like grift anybody or do some insane agenda. I'm just trying to give people data. I build my shit. I like to think I build my opinions based off of data and facts. And I want some of you, I'm just handing it to you guys, and I'm hoping that maybe if you disagree with me, or if you disagree with me, that you're getting some of those facts and maybe you're making assessments for yourself. Or if you do agree with me, great. Now I'm going to give you some information so that you can go have those arguments with other people around you who don't agree. Okay, well, thank you everybody who came. One more time, hit that fucking like button, subscribe, share, whatever, use these arguments. I will see you next time. Goodbye.